My mother, who was exceptionally intelligent, was the most beautiful girl in Monroeville, maybe in all of Alabama. Everyone said so, and it was true. When she was 16, she married a 28-year-old man who came from a good family in New Orleans. The marriage lasted only a year. My mother was too young to be a mother or a wife, so she left her husband, and she deposited me in the care of a distant family in her hometown. I have no memory of the time before I was left there, but from that point on, I am rich in memories. Most of the people I knew were kind in their own way. A few were not. One or two were downright mean. And talk about mean. Aunt Henderson was the meanest human creature in my experience. And I'm speaking about a 15-year-old boy, not some grown-up who's had the time to ripen an especially evil disposition. Aunt had failed several grades and was now serving his second term in the 5th grade. Nobody ever picked a fight with him. He was the biggest boy in the 5th grade that year, maybe ever. Having skipped the 2nd grade and being, surprisingly at the time, somewhat delicate, I was the smallest. I must have been quite a curiosity to him. Alas, even on weekends, I was the object of Ott's relentless attention.
What's the big idea?
When I blow this whistle, you're supposed to stop. You hear me?
Why should I?
Because I say so, that's why.
Hey, give me back my cap.
Try and make me.
Come on, give it back. I gotta go.
Just where do you think you're going?
I'm going to town.
Yeah? What you figuring on doing there?
None of your business.
Don't you sass me, you little shrimp. What are you figuring to do in town?
I'm going to the picture show.
That's what you think.
Let me by. Let me by. I'll be late.
You gotta have a dime to go to the picture show. Hand it over.
I will not.
Hand it over.
No!
Give it! This is one Saturday. You ain't going to the picture show.
Ow! You're hurting me! Stop! Please stop! Here, take the dime.
Oh, cry, baby. Why don't you go ahead and cry? You ain't nothing but a big crybaby. You ain't got the spunk of a field mouse, crybaby. Here's your old hat, crybaby. Go ahead, boo-hoo-hoo.
I was determined not to cry, and I almost didn't. I picked up my hat and headed back home. My house belonged to 2 elderly distant cousins of my mother's, who had taken me under their roof because of the disturbance in my more immediate family. Some of the time that I lived with them turned to be the happiest time of my childhood. mainly because of the youngest of the cousins, a woman in her 60s. For some reason unknown to me even now, when she was a small child, her father began to call her Sook, and that is how she was always known to family and neighbors. She became my first friend. As she was still a child herself, she understood children, and she understood me absolutely. She was as sensitive as a shy lady fern plant, a recluse who never traveled beyond the county boundaries. Perhaps it was strange for a young boy to have as his best friend an aging spinster, but neither of us had an ordinary outlook or background. The youngest of the children born to her mother and father, her birth had not been an easy one. She was born blue and she was slow in development. Her face was remarkable, much like Lincoln's, craggy and brown by the wind. Due to a long youthful illness, her shoulders were pitifully hunched. And so it was inevitable in our separate loneliness that we should come to share a friendship apart from most others. Whenever I returned home from a picture show, my friend was waiting for me to tell her the story I had just seen. This Saturday, not making it to the picture show, I had quite a real-life tale of woe to tell.
I can't believe any human being is as bad as you make that boy out to be. Can't you just keep out of his way?
I do keep out of his way. He gets in my way.
Have you tried reasoning with him? Can't you point out the unfairness of it? He's so much bigger than you.
He'd laugh first and spit next.
Well, don't you worry about it. I'll give you another dime.
But I'll be so late. I'll miss the cereal.
Anyway, you'll see the long picture. I can't wait for you to get home and tell me the story.
Suddenly, filling the doorway to the dining room stood my friend's oldest sister, an even more elderly spinster lady with steel gray hair and a disposition to match.
What are you doing? Why are you giving him money?
It's for the picture show.
You already gave him a dime. I saw you right after lunch. Now don't tell me you lost it.
A boy came along and took it away from him.
And you let him?
Well, he was a lot bigger and older than Buddy.
Money does not grow on trees, you know. A dime will buy 2 loaves of bread, or 5 pounds of flour, or a whole gallon of molasses.
It wasn't his fault.
He allowed himself to be robbed. He can suffer the consequences.
You know how much Buddy loves the picture show.
I don't approve of him going every single week anyway. He'll ruin his eyes. Now, what's the name of the picture this week?
Claudette Colbert in Cleopatra.
Cleopatra.
It's about Egypt.
Well, that most certainly is not a story for a young boy to see.
Oh, why not? There's a lot about Egypt in the Bible.
I forbid you to give him another dime, Sook. You've got to stop spoiling that boy. You're spoiling him rotten. That money is for the household, not for frivolity.
It was clear to my friend and I that there could be no further appeal. The dime was returned to the old tobacco tin, and it too was returned to the far back corner of the high shelf. Now it was my friend who was determined not to cry in the wake of a bully.
Someday, I'm going to sell my cameo Papa gave me, and we're going to just take a bus and go on to New Orleans and never come back.
The cameo. My friend spoke often of it. Her papa gave it on her 10th birthday, telling her it was the finest of ivory and the purest of gold. It was our hope in times of trouble. When needed, we could sell it for a life away from those who sought to oppress us. I spent the next day wondering if Ott Henderson had used my dime to see Cleopatra at the picture show, or if he threw it away on some less noble endeavor. It was now Monday, and I'd soon be sitting next to Ott Henderson at school. Should I ask him? While I pondered that, my friend's sister spoke about Thanksgiving, which was only 4 days hence.
I've been thinking, Sook. I am going to sell the big gobbler, and we'll have the hen. Old Mr. Farnham says a fox got his gobbler last weekend. Well, he has a houseful coming. He'll take it live, we won't have to bother dressing it, and the hen will be more than enough for us with only 7 this year. Now, Buddy, what's the matter? Why aren't you eating your breakfast?
I'm not hungry.
Don't you feel well?
I've got a terrible stomach ache.
Well, maybe you better not go to school.
Of course he's going to school.
He might have a little cold.
Why do you let him fool you like that? There's nothing at all the matter with him. Now, you listen to me, Buddy. I'm tired of these scenes every morning.
Please, I've got a terrible pain.
You do not have a pain of any kind whatsoever. Now finish your breakfast.
He's
At once.
a little pale. I'll just take his temperature.
You keep out of this, Sook. Now, I've heard of a boy disliking school, but I've never seen anything like the tricks you think up to stay home. Now, why is that? Answer me. Did you do your homework? Do you know your lessons?
Of course he knows his lessons. He got all A's on his last report
Will
card.
you keep out of this, Sook? I want Buddy to tell me why he hates school.
I don't hate school. I hate Henderson.
Who's Aunt Henderson?
An older boy, a bully who picks on Buddy, the one who stole his dime.
That one. Well, you can't allow him to do that. It's not too early for you to be a man. You are the man of the house now, Buddy. Now you start acting like it. You've got to get in there, and you gotta tangle with him. You gotta bloody his nose and blacken his eye. And there's nothing complicated about that, is there? Is there, Buddy?
I did want to be a man, and I certainly wanted to rid myself of that bully, Aunt Henderson. Besides, when it came to bullies, Aunt Henderson had nothing on my friend's sister. Off I went to school, ready to blacken an eye and bloody a nose and avenge Cleopatra. I knew just where and when to wait to give Aunt Henderson his thrashing.
What do you think you're doing?
I'm going to punch you right in the nose.
You go ahead and try. Oh, look at the little wildcat trying to fight.
Ow! Ow! Let me go!
Not until you eat dirt.
Let me go! Ow! You're hurting my arm!
Go ahead, eat some of that dirt.
It was no use struggling. He far outweighed me and obviously had much more experience wrestling. I can be sure of that, as I had exactly none. Dirt doesn't taste as bad as I thought it might. But it certainly leaves your mouth dry. After he'd gone, the first order of business was to make my way down to the little run and rinse my mouth and wash my face. I sat by that peaceful stream and weighed my options. I leaned toward going back home and finding my friend and her cameo and going to New Orleans on the afternoon bus. But as my friend's sister would be at home waiting to hear how I had thrashed Aunt Henderson, I decided that going on to school was the best course. I walked into my classroom doing my best to go unnoticed. I failed at that as well.
Buddy, do you realize you are 1/4 of an hour late?
Yes, ma'am.
This is the second time this month I've had to mark you tardy. Everybody else manages to get here on time. What makes you think you're so special? What makes you think you can march into my class 15 minutes after the bell? Well, answer me, Mr. Big Britches. Is there something you want to say?
At the time, I had not yet learned that the best response to a rhetorical question was silence. Nor that if you were going to answer, at least pick words you could use in Sunday school. Followed by a man. My response fell much further down the spectrum. I don't know if it was owing to the dirt I ate or the cold water in which I washed or the 15 sharp thwacks across my upturned palm, or just more my plain bad luck, but Tuesday morning found me truly ill and in my bed. My friend stood over me, doing her best to see the little red line in the fever thermometer she just removed from my mouth.
101. Buddy, you are sick.
My throat hurts. My head hurts.
Well, I'm going downstairs and tell sister you are sick and you are not going to school.
She won't believe you.
She'll believe this fever thermometer. Just close your eyes and lie still.
I was happy to comply. I dozed the morning away until the call of nature roused me. Once answered, I was just about to drift off again when I heard my friend's footsteps on the stairs.
Feeling a little better?
A little. My throat still hurts.
You need nourishment. I made you some cream of tomato soup with a dab of heavy cream whipped up so it floats on top, the way you like it.
I don't know if it was the warm soup, the rich cream, or the sweet company, but I soon perked up.
Let's play rook. Buddy, I've been thinking about Thanksgiving. We're not going to have the big turkey this year, but that hen will still be more than enough in case you want to invite an extra guest.
Who?
Buddy, I want you to invite Aunt Henderson to Thanksgiving dinner. Please, buddy?
I thought you were my friend.
Of course I am.
If you were, you'd never think up things like that. Aunt Henderson is my enemy.
Well, how could it be? He doesn't really know you.
Well, I'm his enemy.
I think if you ask Aunt Henderson to sit down at Thanksgiving dinner with us, this whole trouble would just stop right there.
I won't do it. She'd think I was crazy, and I would be.
Well, suppose I invite him.
You wouldn't.
That's what I'm going to do right now. I'm going to put on my hat and I'm going to pay a call on his mother.
Well, I had never known my friend to play a joke, but I hoped and prayed that this might be her first. It was like that verse from the Bible. She was going to prepare a table for me in the presence of my enemy. My friend read the Bible every night. Is that where she got this crazy idea? I got out of bed and watched out the window just in time to see her dressed in her outdoor coat and hat, both of which had once belonged to a more fashionable relative, and each being the only coat and hat I can ever recall on her. And off she went, just as I feared, her determined steps taking her in the direction of the Henderson household. Now it was a matter of waiting to see if Aunt Henderson accepted her invitation. I secretly hoped he would laugh at the request and then, just to show his contempt of such an idea, steal some of the faded roses from her old hat. Unable to go back to sleep, I got up and went to my friend's room. I thought I would look through her Bible to see what other dismal fates and plagues might befall her. Her Bible lay on the dresser beside the little wood box that once held 24 chocolate-covered cherries. Her father had given her the Christmas she was 16. Christmas was on Saturday that year. She ate only one chocolate-covered cherry that day, and each Saturday after that, she enjoyed exactly one piece of candy from that box, emptying it sometime that summer. Once emptied, that little lacquered wood candy container became her treasure box. I had permission to look through her treasures at any time I wished. On this dismal afternoon, I exercised that privilege. Even at 10, I knew that none of the treasures had any real worth, except for the cameo my friend's papa had given her more than 50 years ago. I held that cameo in my hand and wished it were mine. I wonder what time the bus left for New Orleans today, what I might need for such a journey. I returned the cameo to its place in the box and, leaning over to look at my sad reflection in the filigreed mirror inside the lid, I carefully closed the little box, making sure the tiny brass hasp was latched. By now, I passed on the Bible and instead returned to my room to look at some of the secondhand movie magazines which one of my friend's married sisters saved for us. I was conjuring up images of Claudette Colbert as Cleopatra when I heard my friend return.
I like Molly Henderson. I always did like Molly Henderson. She does all she can. And that house is clean. There just ain't nothing in it.
Did she say if Ot's coming here or not?
Buddy, I tell you, it hurt me right down to my toes to see somebody struggling like Molly's. Never see a clear day. I feel ashamed. Always struggling. Can't even satisfy the plainest needs. I felt ashamed about all of us having something extra, while people like that having nothing.
Well, what about the invitation?
I mentioned to Molly about us having more quilts here than we could ever use. There's that old trunk up in the attic, full of those old scrap quilts I made when I was a girl and couldn't go out much. And she cut me right off. The Hendersons are doing just fine, thank you. They don't want anything. Buddy, I think you're wrong about her boy Ott being so mean.
I am not.
Oh, well, partially wrong. From what Molly says, there's a good side to his nature. Now, she says he helps an awful lot. Never complains no matter how many chores. She says that he can sing just as good as anyone on the radio. And when the little ones start to ruckus, he can just quiet them down by singing. All we can do for people like Molly is to respect them and remember them in our prayers.
Is Ott coming for Thanksgiving or isn't he?
Well, to answer your question, Molly is real happy you thought enough of Ott to ask him over for Thanksgiving. And she's just sure he'll be just tickled pink to come.
Getting my answer, I pulled the covers up over my head. A few minutes after that, my friend finally stopped singing the praises of Molly Henderson and left me to sleep. Wednesday morning found my cold improved, but I was still encouraged to sleep the morning away, missing another day of school. By noon, I came downstairs to have my lunch at the table with my friend. Considering we were to have company for dinner the next day, she asked,
Buddy, you think you'd feel up to dusting the parlor?
Sure, I like dusting.
I was nearly finished when I looked up to see my friend's sister, hands on hips, intently watching me.
Got that boy house cleaning again, I see.
Yeah, he's done the whole parlor, but he's been more help than a dust maid.
Cold better?
A little better.
Must be all better with you aiming to work so hard. Well, I've got a chore for you, buddy.
Well, he's a little weak, but if you go off to bed, you take a little rest.
Not so fast, buddy. You get your jacket and you come out to the chicken yard with me.
What for?
Buddy is going to kill the turkey this year.
Kill the turkey? Well,
House cleaning's women's work. About time he learned to do a real man's job.
please, don't make him do that. Why, he can barely stand to kill flies.
I won't do it.
What did you say?
I won't.
What?
Won't!
You march out there and get your jacket. And don't you ever again dare to defy an order from me. He's got to stop hanging off your apron strings, Sook.
It seems I was especially unskilled in catching a turkey. After 10 exhausting minutes, my friend's sister had enough.
Oh, for heaven's sake! That old turkey hen won't have a bite of meat left on her if you keep chasing her like that.
She stepped forward and with no hesitation from either herself or the turkey, her practiced hand accomplished what I could not. In one fluid swoop, she reached down, grabbed the legs of the turkey in her right hand, and erected herself with her arm held out straight to her side. The turkey hen, seeming to accept her fate, dangled peacefully. My friend's sister stepped out of the pen and motioned for me to follow her to an area discreetly hidden behind the shed. One graceful sweep of her arm and the turkey's neck lay across the old blood-soaked stump, awaiting the coup de grace. Nearly every Saturday, Sunday's dinner had met its fate here. Today it was the turn of the old turkey hen, and I was expected to perform the deed that would start the process from pen to platter.
Pick up that hatchet. Pick up that hatchet. Now cut its head off. Go on. Did you hear what I said? Cut its head off.
I picked up the hatchet because I was ordered to. I looked at its gleaming edge, recently sharpened for just this occasion. I even raised it in preparation. I wanted to do it, not because I was ordered to, but because I too believed it would make measure the man I hoped to become. This turkey was tomorrow's dinner. She'd been raised for this purpose. I had no qualms about the turkey fulfilling her destiny.
Buddy, now just do it. Cut its head off. Don't make it suffer. Do it clean.
And I thought of the time last May, when one of the distant cousins came to visit. He had a gun that shot little brass pellets. He and I shot old cans and bottles off the fence, celebrating with each hit. I was surprisingly a good shot. As the cousin was resetting the cans on the fence for another round, I noticed a mockingbird sitting on the arm of the clothesline. Too impatient to wait for the cans, I took the shot. It was successful. The mockingbird lay on the ground. We did not celebrate. My cousin stopped setting up the cans and put the gun away. To this day, I am ashamed that I killed that mockingbird. And to this day, I'm ashamed that I could not kill that turkey hen. Tears began to fill my eyes even before I flung the hatchet to the ground. I fled to the refuge of my bedroom, and there I opened the little door that led under the eaves. When I was safely inside that little space where no grown-up could enter, I surrendered to the sobbing. My friend came for me.
Buddy, open the door. Buddy, sister feels bad too. She's a kind woman too. She's just in too much of a hurry to make you grow up. Buddy, please come out. I'll make you some cream of tomato soup. I'll play you a game of rook. Buddy, we don't have to stay in this house if we don't like it. I'll sell my cameo Papa gave me and we'll just get on a bus and go to New Orleans.
Just go away, please. Just for a little bit.
All right, buddy. I have to go dress the turkey anyway.
I took a moment to quiet myself, even dozed a bit. Sometime later I emerged. I found my friend and her sister busy in the kitchen with the preparation for tomorrow's dinner.
Can I help?
Of course, buddy. You can break up the bread for the stuffing.
Can I have some of the turkey feathers? I want to make an Indian hat.
Of course, buddy. I saved some really good ones just for you.
Our most delicate task on Thanksgiving Eve was preparing the table. The linen had belonged to my friend's mother. It was 80 years old and had been mended and patched. Probably it had not been fine material to begin with, but my friend treated it as though it had been woven by gold hands on heavenly looms. Next to come out were the best china dishes, which had belonged to my friend's father's mother. Taken down from a shelf in the dining room, they were laid at each place on the table. We should have been 7, the 3 of us who lived in the house, and 4 more who were the odds and ends of the very large extended family. The others of my friend's siblings had large families of their own, and their own Thanksgiving tables would be full elsewhere. I laid out 7 places, but my friend insisted I set another for Aunt Henderson. She was sure he would come. I prayed he would not, and I prayed hard. Morning brought a lively day that Thanksgiving, lively with on and off showers and thrusts of rough wind snatching away leftover autumn leaves. The odds and ends began to arrive. First to come, as usual, was Cousin Alfred, a bachelor and an only child who had outlived both his parents. Then came Uncle Charlie, my friend's oldest living brother, and his wife, Aunt Lucille. Their 3 grown children lived in Denver, Chicago, and Madison, Wisconsin, I never bothered to come back to Alabama for holidays. On their way here, Uncle Charlie and Aunt Lucille had picked up Aunt Mary, a childless widowed sister-in-law. Each brought their usual contribution to the annual feast and were gathered together in the parlor visiting with each other while my friend and her sister finished preparing our portion of the dinner. Some movement on the porch caught my eye. Obviously, I had not prayed hard enough. Because there on the porch stood Aunt Henderson. I jumped to my feet and ran to the kitchen.
He's here! He's here! He's on the porch!
Who?
Who? Aunt Henderson, that's who.
Oh, well, bring him in. He's your particular guest. You see, he meets everyone and has a good time.
I don't want him to have a good time.
Buddy.
She took my hand and together we went to the front door.
Aunt, welcome to our house. I'm Buddy's cousin, Miss Sook, and Buddy and I are happy you could come.
She brought him into the parlor and began to introduce him one by one to each adult gathered there. As she did, I slipped upstairs, determined to hide under the daybed in the hall until all the odds and ends had gone, especially Aunt Henderson.
Buddy? Buddy, where are you? Aunt Mary?
What is it, Sook?
Have you seen Buddy?
I think I saw him slip upstairs.
Buddy, why don't you come on down and entertain your guest?
Buddy, you come down here right now, or I'll come up there and bring you down.
Aunt, why don't you go on up there and see if you can find Buddy? It's nearly time to eat.
If Aunt Henderson was looking for me, he wasn't very good at it. From my vantage point under the daybed, I could see him wandering from room to room, looking at this and that. The wood candy box on my friend's dresser caught his attention especially. Of course, he opened it and he rifled through it with none of the veneration to my friend's most precious treasures. None but the cameo, that is. He picked it up and examined it closely. I nearly gave myself away, but stifled myself and did not shout for him to put it down and get out. He withdrew a surprisingly wide handkerchief from his pocket, wrapped it around the cameo, and slipped both back into his pocket. Now I was ready to bloody his nose, but I doubted if the outcome would be any more successful this time.
Aunt, did you find Buddy?
He ain't up there.
Well, then come down. Perhaps he went outside.
Maybe he went to the privy.
As soon as Aunt Henderson was downstairs, I confirmed that the cameo was indeed missing from the box. In no time, I had a plan. I joined the adults and Aunt Henderson in the parlor and did my best to smile and make pleasant conversation until finally we were all settled at the table and the formalities of our dinner commenced.
May we all bow our heads. Bless you, O Lord, for the bounty of our table, for the very fruits we can be thankful for in this Thanksgiving Day of a very troubled year. Amen.
My rising from my chair drew all eyes, and everyone felt quiet. Should they be expecting a before-dinner speech from their poor little cousin?
Someone in here is a thief. Aunt Henderson is a thief. He stole Sook's cameo.
What? Buddy doesn't mean that. He's just teasing.
If you don't believe me, go look in your box. Your cameo isn't there. It's in Aunt Henderson's pocket.
Well, Buddy's had a terrible cold and a fever now. Don't blame him, Aunt. And he hasn't a notion of what he's saying.
Go look in your box.
Maybe you'd better, Sook. That should settle the matter.
The table was laid with our finest, and so our very best manners were in order. I had halted the meal just before the dishes were to be passed one to the other. So now, with my friend absent from the table, we waited. The odds and ends filled the time complimenting each other on the delights laid before us. Aunt Mary's perfect ambrosia with the transparent oranges and the fresh grated coconut. Aunt Lucille's casserole of sweet potatoes and raisins whipped light and topped with dabs of marshmallow browned to perfection. Uncle Albert's bottle of store-bought wine that we all believe must be of the best quality. Someone asked my friend's sister had she made her usual cold banana pudding. As she was answering, my friend returned and took her seat.
Shame on you, buddy, playing a joke like that. My cameo is exactly where I left it.
Buddy, I want you to apologize to our guest. Buddy, I said apologize to our guest.
I can't.
Buddy, you will leave the table.
I remained silent, but I would not budge.
Buddy, you will leave the table.
You don't have to. He's telling the truth.
Even I admired the dignity of Henderson mustered as he rose from his chair and walked to my friend's side. He reached down in his pocket and brought forth that clean white handkerchief. The handkerchief and its contents were laid gently beside my friend's plate.
I wish I had some excuse to give, but I ain't got none. You must be a very nice lady, Miss Sook, to fib for me like that.
The room was overcome in silence, and the eyes of each adult followed his exit from the room and from the house. When he was gone, each set of eyes turned on me before dropping to the empty plates before them. The silence continued. No one offered a smile. No one told me I'd done well to stop a thief. No one thought to apologize for doubting me. Not even my friend. I fled to my room and went directly to that space under the eaves where no adult could enter. I sat there in the dark until all the odds and ends had gone. It was a very long time before my friend came to me.
Buddy, I saved you a drumstick and I rescued you some ambrosia. Come on and take it.
You betrayed our friendship.
Buddy, you know you're as hungry as 40 fat pirates.
Why'd you lie to save Aunt Henderson's skin?
You eat, I'll talk.
I was hungry, and the turkey leg was so good.
Buddy, two wrongs don't make a right. You heard me say that before, haven't you?
Yes.
Of course it was wrong of Ott to take my cameo. But whatever his reasons, they can't have been calculated. That's why what you did was worse.
Worse?
Yes, it was 10 times worse. You planned to humiliate him. I'm a foolish old woman without any schooling, but I know in my heart that deliberate cruelty is an unpardonable sin. Everything else can be forgiven but that. Just never. Do you understand me, buddy?
Sort of. Anyway, I got your cameo back. What if I let Ott steal it? Then how could we get on a bus to New Orleans?
When you finish that, we'll go down to the kitchen. I've saved a cup of the banana pudding.
In New Orleans? I bet there's a picture show every day.
And of course there is, a big city.
When are you gonna sell your cameo?
Oh, one of these days when I can get somebody to pay me what it's really worth.
We'll get a lot of money for it, won't we?
Oh, of course we will, buddy. Why, it's ivory and pure gold. Buddy, I almost forgot. I brought you the wishbone. Pull it with me.
Make a wish and pull.
Ha, easy as pie.
You win. Tell me your wish.
I just wish you'd forgive me for taking Aunt Henderson's part against you. Buddy, will you?
Well, is that a pardonable sin?
I felt much better when I forgave my friend. And when I returned to school, I forgave Aunt Henderson too, although I didn't risk telling him that out loud. I'm not sure if he really changed, but in my eyes he seemed a little humbled, and there was now a truce between us.
How was school today, buddy?
Huh? All right.
Oh, I baked some cookies. They're in the kitchen. Help yourself.
Even now, when I close my eyes, I can see that old kitchen. A great black stove is the main feature, but there's also a big round table and a fireplace with 2 rocking chairs in front of it. A few weeks after Thanksgiving, the fireplace commenced its seasonal roar. Off to the side was a bed for Queenie. She's our tough little orange and white rat terrier who has survived distemper and 2 rattlesnake bites. My friend is standing at the kitchen window. She is wearing tennis shoes and a shapeless gray sweater over a summery calico dress. She moves even closer to the window and looks out. Her breath frosts the window pane.
Oh my, it's fruitcake weather. Buddy, did you hear me?
Okay.
It's fruitcake weather. Finish your breakfast, buddy. There's work to do.
She calls me Buddy in memory of a boy who was formerly her best friend. The other Buddy died in the 1880s. When she was still a child, mostly she is still a child.
Buddy, I knew it before I got out of bed. The courthouse bell sounded so cold and clear, and there were no birds singing. They've gone to warmer country, yes indeed. Oh, Buddy, stop stuffing biscuits in your mouth and fetch our buggy. We've 30 cakes to bake.
Pecans first?
Of course. They finished the harvest yesterday. Get your buggy and take everything out.
It's always the same. A morning arrives sometime in December and my friend announces,
It's fruitcake weather. Fetch our buggy.
the buggy is my dilapidated baby carriage. It was bought for me when I was born. It is made of wicker, rather unraveled, and the wheels wobble like a drunkard's legs, but it is a faithful object. Springtimes we take it to the woods and fill it with flowers and herbs for our porch pots. In the summer, we pile it with picnic paraphernalia and sugarcane fishing poles. It has its winter uses too, as a truck for hauling firewood from the yard to the kitchen. This morning we got our buggy with Queenie trotting beside it down the road a mile or so to a grove of pecan trees.
Look at the sign. No trespassing.
Oh, we're not trespassing. We're just picking up a windfall.
What if Mr. Callahan comes while we're picking up his pecans?
We'll thank him nicely. Once they're on the ground, he doesn't want them.
Maybe we could promise him a cake.
Our cakes are presents for people we like and admire.
The grass is too long. I can hardly find them.
Look hard, buddy. If we don't get them, they'll go to waste.
It's easier if you crawl.
Oh, buddy, my back hurts.
Mine doesn't.
Of course, you're too young to have a backache. Wait till you're old.
When I'm old, you'll be very old.
Yes, and you'll have to bake all the fruitcakes yourself.
No.
Yes, and I'm not going to do any work. I'm just going to sit in my rocker and watch.
You'll never be that old.
3 hours later, we are back in the kitchen, ready to shell a buggy load of pecans. The old iron nutcracker is brought from the cabinet and fastened to the table.
I like it when they crack. Crack.
The shells collapse into a dishpan strategically placed on the floor. From there, we scoop up some in a tin pie pan and pick out the sweet, oily pecan meats. As we work, the product of our labors mounds in a large white milk glass bowl in the center of the table. Queenie begs a taste, and now and again my friend sneaks her a bite, although insisting we deprive ourselves.
No, 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 we mustn't. Buddy, if we start eating pecans now, we won't stop. And there's scarcely enough as there is for 30 cakes.
Are we going to the store tomorrow?
Yes, indeed. Soon as I finish my ironing.
That's the part I like best. Buying things.
At last, the moon is quite high. We toss the final empty shells into the fire and watch them catch flame. The buggy is empty. The bowl is brim full. We eat our supper, cold biscuits, bacon, blackberry jam, and discuss tomorrow. Tomorrow, the kind of work I like best begins.
We need to buy red cherries and green citron, ginger and vanilla, and candied pineapple, and raisins and walnuts and whiskey.
And flour and sugar and lard. We better make a list.
We'll buy so much we'll need a pony to pull the buggy home.
Before these purchases can be made, there's the question of money, which we earn ourselves from various activities. Home rummage sales, selling buckets of hand-picked blackberries, or jars of homemade apple jelly and peach preserves, rounding up flowers for funerals and weddings. Once, we won 79th prize, $5, in a national football contest. Not that we know a full thing about football, it's just that we enter any contest we hear about. At the moment, our hopes are centered on the $5,000 grand prize offered in the name to name a new brand of coffee. We suggested AM, and after some hesitation, for my friend thought it perhaps sacrilegious, the slogan, AM, Amen.
When we go to the store tomorrow, let's go straight to our post box.
If you're thinking about the coffee naming contest, it's too soon to get a letter.
They said winners will be announced before the first of the year. What if we win $5,000?
AM coffee. I would like a pound of AM coffee, please. It does sound delicious. I wonder if we ought to have added that slogan though, AM, Amen.
Coffee companies love slogans. We'll win first prize.
To tell the truth, our only really profitable enterprise was the Fun and Freak Museum we conducted in a backyard woodshed 2 summers ago. The fun was a stereopticon with slides of Washington and New York, lent us by a relative who had been to those places. The freak was a 3-legged bitty chicken hatched by one of our own hens. Everybody hereabouts wanted to see that bitty. We charged grown-ups a nickel, kids 2 cents. That was an extra good year. But one way or another, we do each year accumulate a fruitcake fund. These monies we keep hidden in an ancient beaded purse, under a loose gourd, under the floor, under the chamber pot, under my friend's bed.
Here you go, buddy. That's your dime for the picture show on Saturday.
We'll need it for the cakes. I won't go to the picture show this Saturday.
Oh, I want you to go. I want you to come home and tell me the stories.
Why don't you ever come with me?
I'd rather hear you tell the story, buddy. That way I can imagine it more. Besides, a person my age shouldn't squander their eyes. When the Lord comes, let me see him clear.
In addition to never having seen a movie, she has never eaten in a restaurant, traveled more than 5 miles from home, received or sent a telegram, read anything except the funny papers in the Bible. There are a few things she does do: dip snuff, tell ghost stories, grow the prettiest japonicas in town, know the recipe for every sort of old-time Indian cure, including a magical wart remover.
Buddy, let's count the money.
We spill the contents of the beaded purse on the bed. We sit counting a few dollar bills and coins, but mostly pennies. Neither of us has a head for figures. We count slowly, lose track, and start again.
I count $12.93.
I count $13, even.
Oh, I do hope you're wrong, buddy. We can't mess around with 13. Cakes will fall or put somebody in the cemetery. Why, you know I wouldn't dream of getting out of bed on the 13th.
And it was true. She stayed in bed all day on the 13th of each month.
We better count again.
No, I trust you, buddy. If you say 13 even, it's right. We'll just throw a penny out the window to be safe.
Early the next morning, we're off to the store. I push the buggy as my friend clutches the beaded purse containing our fruitcake funds.
Oh, good afternoon, Sook. How are y'all today?
It's fruitcake time. We have a long list, and we're going to need your complete attention.
Then I shall give you my complete attention. How many this year?
We have 30 cakes to bake this year.
Oh my, that is a generous lot of cakes. This will be a big order.
As I recall, last year, you didn't have enough of the candied pineapple.
Well, we have plenty of it now. I ordered extra, thinking of you. Comes all the way from Hawaii, you know.
We'll take a pound and a half.
You know, it's 50 cents a pound this year. It's gone up a mite. Pound and a half comes to 75 cents. You want that much?
Count it out, buddy.
25, 50, 75, 75 cents cash.
Now, I'll need a box of ginger, large bottle of vanilla, 5 bottles of the little red cherries, 2 jars of citron, 20 pounds of flour, a pound of salt, 5 pounds of lard, 1 pound of lemon peels candied, 5 loaves of raisins, 1 pound of orange peels candied, 2 pounds of dates, and 10 pounds of sugar.
Eggs?
Oh, well, we have our own, thank you.
Well, it's still a big order. All cash, of course.
Of course. Count out the money, buddy.
But we weren't done with our shopping. Whiskey is not only the most expensive ingredient we need for our cakes, it's the hardest to obtain. State law forbids its sale. But everyone knows you can buy homemade whiskey from Mr. Ha Ha Jones. And so, having completed our more prosaic shopping, we set out for the sinfully infamous Fish Fry and Dancing Cafe down by the river. We've been there before in previous years on the same errand. Each time our dealings have only been with Ha Ha's wife, an iodine dark Indian woman with brassy peroxided hair. Actually, we've never laid eyes on her husband, though we've heard that he's an Indian too, a giant with razor scars across his cheeks. They call him Ha Ha because he never laughs. As we approach this cafe, our steps slow down. Even Queenie stops prancing and sticks close by. People have been murdered in Ha Ha's cafe.
Mrs. Ha Ha, ma'am. Anyone to home? Mrs. Ha Ha, we're here on business.
Finally, the door opens, and it's Mr. Ha Ha Jones himself.
What you want with Ha Ha?
If you please, Mr. Ha Ha, we'd like a quart of your finest whiskey.
Which one of you is a drinking man?
It's for fruitcakes, Mr. Ha Ha, for cooking.
That wastes good whiskey.
Please, Mr. Ha Ha, we make fruitcakes for our friends.
1 quart, $2.
He disappears into the dark cafe as I count out coins. He returns with a jar of amber liquid and lays it in the buggy next to the other cake ingredients.
Here's $2, even.
Take whiskey, no charge. Bring Ha Ha fruitcake.
Ah, thank you so much, Mr. Ha Ha.
Now go away before people see you here.
Thank you, Mr. Ha Ha.
Such a nice man.
Did you see? I think he was smiling.
We'll put extra raisins in his cake.
Maybe extra whiskey, too.
That afternoon, the black stove glows like a lighted pumpkin. Egg beaters whirl, spoons spin around in bowls of shortening and sugar. Vanilla sweetens the air, ginger spices it. Nose-tingling odors saturate the kitchen and suffuse the house. It is 4 days before our work is done.
Whew! 31 cakes, buddy.
We dampen each cake with precisely 3 tablespoons of Mr. Ha Ha's whiskey. 6 on his. Who are the other cakes for, you ask? Well, friends. Not necessarily neighbor friends. Indeed, the larger share is intended for persons we've met maybe once, perhaps not at all. People who've struck our fancy.
This one is for President Roosevelt.
And we'll send this round one to the Reverend and Mrs. J.C. Lucy.
Baptist Baptist missionaries to Borneo who lectured here last winter.
I think Gino will like this one.
The little knife grinder comes around twice a year.
Abner's Hacker.
The bus driver on the 6 o'clock bus from Mobile who exchanges waves with us every day as he passes in the dust cloud.
And this one is going to California.
It was for the young Wistons, a California couple whose car one afternoon broke down outside the house and who spent a pleasant hour chatting with us on the porch. Young Mr. Wiston snapped our picture, the only one we've ever had taken together. Is it because my friend is shy with everyone except strangers that these strangers and nearest acquaintance seem to us our truest friends? I think yes. Also, the scrapbooks we keep of thank yous on White House stationery, time-to-time communications from California and Borneo, the knife grinder's penny postcards, they make us feel connected to an eventful world beyond the kitchen.
Buddy, go get the brown paper and the little boxes we've been saving.
I hope we have enough.
The next day, we carted the parcels to the post office, where the cost of stamps turned our purse inside out.
Only 1 nickel left. The kitchen looks so empty. Everything's gone. I feel kind of sad.
My goodness, there's no reason to feel sad. We should feel proud and happy. And right after New Year's Day, we can start looking for our thank you letters. We ought to celebrate. Yes, we're gonna celebrate. Buddy, have you ever tasted whiskey?
You know I haven't. Have you?
No, but we're going to. That's how we'll celebrate.
What if we don't like it?
Well, Uncle Charlie loves it, and we're both his relatives. It takes running the family, they say. Here's your glass, and here's mine. Are you ready? Oh, wait. We have to have a toast. We have to drink in honor of somebody.
Us. I drink in honor of us.
To us.
It's strong.
Ooh, it's nice and warm going down, though. Uncle Charlie drinks this for his chest colds.
But I kind of like it.
Well, it wouldn't be in a recipe for fruitcake if it wasn't good.
We're both quite awed with drinking whiskey. Each sip brings a shudder and a funny face, but we like it.
Oh, Queenie even wants some.
We give her a spoonful and a bowl of coffee. By and by, we begin to sing. The two of us singing different songs simultaneously.
Come on along to the Dark Time Stutters Ball. Come along,
Take me out to the
Dark Time
ball.
Stutters.
Me out to the crowd. Buy me some peanuts and Cracker Jacks.
Unable to finish my song, I begin to dance. That's what I mean to be, a tap dancer in the movies.
Look at Queenie. She's rolling on her back. She wants some more.
My friend waltzes around the stove. The hem of her poor calico skirt pinched between her fingers as though it were a party dress.
Show me the way.
Whiskey makes me feel sparkly
And
inside.
Sook, buddy, what are you two up to? Will you be quiet? What is wrong with you? Buddy, come here. Let me smell your breath. A child of 10, whiskey on his breath. Are you out of your mind? Feeding a child whiskey. Oh, Sook, you must be as loony as they say. Shame. Anybody from town hears about this and will be scandal, humiliation. Both of you, kneel down. On your knees. Kneel down and pray. Beg the Lord to forgive you.
Queenie sneaks under the stove. My friend gazes at her shoes. Her chin quivers, she lifts her skirt and blows her nose and runs to her bedroom.
Buddy, you better go to bed.
I don't argue. But before I go to my room, I look in on my friend. She's weeping into her pillow.
Don't cry. You're too old for that.
It's because I am too old. Old and funny, like they say.
Not funny, fun. More fun than anybody. Listen, if you don't stop crying, you'll be so tired tomorrow we can't go cut our Christmas tree like we planned.
Oh, yeah. You're right, buddy. We'll go tomorrow. And I know where we'll find real pretty trees, buddy. And holly, too. With berries big as your eyes. It's way off in the woods. Farther than we've ever been. Papa used to bring us Christmas trees from there. Carry them on his shoulder. That's 50 years ago. Well, now, go on to bed, buddy. I can't wait for morning.
We have a light breakfast and then we start out. We travel 5 miles down the county road and then turn down a small lane. From there, we take off to an open field and then another. By the edge of a small stream, we have to abandon the buggy. Queenie wades the stream first. We follow, holding our shoes and equipment, a hatchet and a burlap sack, above our heads. On the farther shore, Queenie shakes herself and trembles.
We're almost there. Can you smell it, buddy?
It smells nice.
There. Over there, buddy. See them?
They're so big.
White pine. Papa says they're the only white pines in all of Alabama. And they grow over 100 feet tall.
That's too big. We'll never get one home.
Oh, buddy. We'll take a little one. Let's see. They say a tree should be twice as tall as a boy, so he can't steal the star.
Okay, twice as tall as me. Look! Look at that one!
It's like it stepped out in front of the others, just waiting for us. That's our tree, buddy.
It was waiting just for us.
It was a handsome little tree, covered with long, soft needles that didn't poke. It survives 30 hatchet strokes before it keels with a creak and thud. Once it's on the ground, I lay down beside it.
Exactly twice as tall as me.
Lugging it home like a kill, we commenced the long trek back. Once we crossed back across the stream, we put the tree in the buggy. Once, the car stops, and the rich mill owner's lazy wife leans out the window.
And what a fine tree! Where did it come from?
Yonder ways.
Give you 2 bits cash for that old tree.
Why, we wouldn't take $1.
$1, my foot! 50 cents. And that's my last offer. Goodness, woman, you can get another one.
I doubt it. There's never 2 of anything.
All right, 75 cents cash.
No, ma'am, but thank you anyway.
At home, Queenie snores by the fire. My friend and I warm up a bit and then begin to gather the decorations. A trunk in the attic contains a shoebox of frazzled tinsel, 1 silver star, a brief rope of dilapidated colored Christmas lights. Excellent decorations as far as they go, which isn't far enough. My friend said that when she was a girl, they had little delicate glass ornaments, but none have survived.
When we're done, our tree will be as pretty as a Baptist window.
We can't afford the splendors at the 5 and dime, so we do what we've always done. Sit all day at the kitchen table with scissors and crayons and stacks of colored paper. We use safety pins to attach our creations to the tree. As a final touch, we sprinkle the branches with shredded cotton, picked in August just for this purpose.
Now, honest, buddy, doesn't it look good enough to eat?
Well, Queenie must have thought so. She tried to eat a few, but gave up before doing any real damage. After weaving and ribboning holly wreaths for all the front windows, our next project is working together, fashioning family gifts. Tie-dyed scarves for the ladies. For the men, a homebrewed lemon and licorice and aspirin syrup to be taken at the first symptoms of a cold or after hunger. But when it comes time for making each other's gift, my friend and I separate to work secretly.
You know what? I would like to buy you a pearl-handled knife, a radio, and a whole pound of chocolate-covered cherries.
Oh, I could live on them, buddy. Lord, yes, I could, and that's not taking the Lord's name in vain.
Instead, I'm building her kite.
If only I could, I would buy you a bicycle, buddy. It's bad enough in life to do without something you want, but confound it, what gets my goat is not being able to give somebody something you want them to have. Only one of these days, I will locate you a bike, buddy. Don't ask how. Still, maybe.
Instead, I'm fairly certain she's building me a kite. The same as last year and the year before. The year before that, we exchanged slingshots, all of which is fine by me. For we are champion kite flyers who study the wind like sailors. Christmas Eve afternoon, we use our last nickel and go to the butcher's to buy Queenie's traditional gift, a good big gnawable beef bone. The bone we wrap in the funny papers, and it's placed high in the tree near the silver star.
Queenie knows it's there. She won't go to bed.
Her excitement is equaled by my own. I kick the covers and turn my pillow as though it were a scorching summer night.
Buddy, are you awake?
It's my friend calling from her room, which is next to mine, and an instant later she's sitting on my bed holding a candle.
Well, I can't sleep a hoot. My mind's jumping like a jackrabbit. Buddy, do you think Miss Roosevelt will serve our cake at dinner?
We huddle in the bed. She gives my hand an "I love you" squeeze.
Seems like your hand used to be so much smaller. I guess I hate to see you grow up. When you're grown up, will we still be friends?
Always.
But I feel so bad, buddy. I wanted so bad to give you a bite. I tried to sell my cameo Papa gave me. Everyone I asked said if they wanted a cameo like that, they could just go to the dime store and buy one that was still shining. So, I made you another kite.
I made you one too.
We doze, but the beginnings of dawn splashes like cold water. We're up wide-eyed and wandering while we wait for the other occupant of the house to waken. Quite deliberately, my friend drops a kettle on the kitchen floor. I tap dance in front of her closed door. Finally, my friend's sister emerges, looking as though she'd like to kill us both. But it's Christmas, so she can't.
Oh, for heaven's sake! Can't a body sleep in on Christmas? No opening presents until we have breakfast.
We're so impatient to get at the presents, we can't get a mouthful. Finally, we can open packages. I am so disappointed. Who wouldn't be?
Look, Sook, I got 2 pairs of socks, a Sunday school shirt, and a little shepherd.
That's a year's subscription to a religious magazine. It makes me boil. It really does. Nothing good at all.
I'm sorry, buddy.
That's okay. But you got some nice stuff. I like the tangerines. A whole sack. That's your best present.
We'll share those.
She was proudest, though, of a white wool shawl knitted by one of her married sisters. But she says her favorite gift was the kite I built her. And it was very beautiful, though not as beautiful as the one she made me, which is blue and scattered with gold and green good conduct stars. Moreover, my name is painted on it, Buddy.
Buddy, the wind is blowing.
Let's go. I'll race you.
We run to the pasture below the house where Queenie has already gone to bury her bone, and where winter hence Queenie too will be buried. There, plunging through the heavenly waist-high grass, we unreel our kites, feel them twitching at the string like skyfish as they swim into the wind. Satisfied, sun-warmed, we sprawl in the grass and peel tangerines and watch our kites cavort. Soon I forget the socks and the shirt and the little shepherd. I'm as happy as if we'd already won the $5,000 grand prize in that coffee naming contest.
My, How foolish I am. You know what I've always thought? I've always thought a body would have to be sick and dying before they saw the Lord. And I imagine that when he came, it would be like looking at the Baptist window, pretty as colored glass with the sun pouring through. But I'll wager it never happens. I'll wager at the very end, a body realizes the Lord has already shown himself and things as they are.
As she speaks, her hand circles in a gesture that gathers clouds and kites and grass and Queenie pawing earth over her just buried bow.
Just what they've always seen was seeing him. As for me, I could leave the world with today in my eyes.
This is our last Christmas together. Life separates us. Those who know best decide that I belong in a military school. And so follows a miserable succession of bugle-blowing prisons, grim reveille-ridden summer camps. In between, I live with my hitherto absent mother and her new wealthy husband. So I have a new home, but it doesn't count. Home is where my friend is, but there I never go. And there she remains, puttering around the kitchen, alone with Queenie, then alone.
Buddy dear, yesterday Jim Macy's horse kicked Queenie bad. Be thankful she didn't feel much. I wrapped her in a fine linen sheet and carried her down to the pasture in the buggy, where she can be with all her bones.
For a few Novembers, my friend continues to bake her fruitcakes single-handed. Not as many, but some, and of course she always sends me one.
I saved the best of the batch for you.
Also, in every letter she encloses a dime wadded in toilet paper.
See a picture story and write me the story.
But gradually in her letters, she tends to confuse me with her other friend, the buddy who died in the 1880s. More and more, 13ths are not the only days she stays in bed. A morning arrives in December, a leafless, birdless, coming of winter morning, when she cannot rouse herself to exclaim.
It's fruitcake weather.
And when that happens, I know it long before the message saying so arrives. When it does, it merely confirms a piece of news some secret vein had already received. A few weeks later, the wood box was sent to me by a cousin. There was a note taped on top that said, "For Buddy." Inside were my friend's treasures. Among them was a tarnished little cameo, wrapped in a clean white handkerchief that once belonged to Op Henderson. I'm sure my friend's papa never guessed the cheap little dime-store trinket would be so treasured, never to be lost. I will sell that cameo one of these days, when I can find somebody to pay me what it's worth.